By 1998, Buckethead had proved to be one of the most enigmatic and creative forces within the entirety of guitar. His insane personality and skills constantly came across on his records and on stage, and to follow up his 1996 record, The Day of the Robot, he wanted to prove something. He wanted to make something pretty, something vulnerable, and ultimately something very personal. This beautiful project would come out to be
Colma. Colma
was released March 24th, 1998, and is a primarily acoustic-driven album. As stated by Buckethead in the liner notes, this album is dedicated to his mom and dad. While recording this album, Buckethead's mom was sick with colon cancer, and he wanted to provide her with something beautiful that she could listen to while in treatment. Though released in 1998, the earliest that we can see work beginning on this album goes all the way back to 1991. On July 2nd, 1991, Buckethead sat down with an acoustic guitar and hit the record button, which would eventually be released in 2007 as Acoustic Shards. Though Acoustic Shards features a bunch of demos and improv, one of the songs sticks out particularly, that being For Mom. The name of the album is derived from the city of Colma, California, where the dead outnumbered the living, which definitely seems right for Buckethead and his taste. Featured on this album is Buckethead on guitars and bass, Brain with accompanying drums and loops, DJ Disc featured on songs like Hills of Eternity, Machete, and Lone Sow Bug, Bill Laswell for bass accompaniment on Machete, and Terry Untalan, which I probably said that last name wrong, I'm very sorry Terry, playing cello and viola on the songs Wandering and Lone Sow Bug. The album was produced by Buckethead and Extract, with Machete being worked on by Bill Laswell as well. Executive producers Matt Marshall and Dan Celine worked on the record as well, with this album being recorded at the embalming plant in Oakland, California. The song Machete was recorded and mixed separately by Robert Musso at Orange Music in New Jersey. The album was ultimately mastered at Turtletone Studio by Michael Fossenkemper. The album's cover artwork is very clearly inspired by Jimmy Page's Outrider. With Buckethead being a big fan of Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, it's cool seeing his inspirations take full hold here on this beautiful cover. The art direction and design was done by Mark Leroy at Mark Designs, with photography done by Lyndon Flanagan. Buckethead includes many things within the liner notes of this album, including his mom and dad and some of his siblings, Bill Laswell, Aunt Susie, Bootsy Collins, Pinchface, Throat Rake, Onions, Bootsy's mom, John Zorn, Saucy Patches, along with other people like Captain EO, Giant Robot, Leatherface, Michael Jordan, and Disneyland. The album would be released and pressed by Cyber Octave, but in Europe it would also be pressed by Virgin Records. The album has made such an impact that all the way in Germany, it's listed in the German National Library's catalog. Good taste there. This album is loaded with 13 beautiful tracks, including Whitewash, For Mom, Ghost, Hills of Eternity, Big Sur Moon, Machete, Wishing Well, Lone Sow Bug, Sanctum, Wondering, Watching the Boats with My Dad, Ghost Part 2, and Colma. As of recording this video, only documentation for 6 of these songs being played live has been shown to the public. It's speculated that the Colma album release party, Hills of Eternity, and Wishing Well were played along with other songs, but we have no confirmation as of yet. To speak more about Hills of Eternity and Wishing Well, Hills of Eternity is named after the cemetery with the same name that is also located in Colma, California. The song Wishing Well may be familiar to certain keen-eyed listeners. In 1997, Buckethead and Brain released I Need 5 Minutes Alone, with track 3 being named Danielle, where Buckethead plays a familiar melody while singing about an adult film star.
Danielle Cheeks, I'm here to see.
The idea of the name came from Brain after talking about her while recording the album, and Buckethead clearly thought it was funny enough to write a song dedicated to saving her. The song would be reprised and remade, thankfully, and turned into Wishing Well, which is my personal favorite Buckethead song. The main and most distinct guitar from this era, of course, is Bucket's Gibson Chet Atkins CE model, an electric acoustic nylon guitar which first made its appearance on Praxis's Metatron record back in 1994. Video footage from 1996 shows Bucket using the guitar with maximum bob also, but this guitar's main prominence comes from this era. The guitar was off the road for over a decade, but made a return for Buckethead's 2024 tour, something that I did not know about when I went to go see him in July at the Caverns. It was absolutely my favorite part of the show, as the Gibson Chet Atkins is my favorite guitar of his, next to the KFC V. It's such a good sounding guitar, and it has such a distinct, snappy sound. If you're listening for it on different pikes or different records, when he's using the nylon guitar, listen for a very distinct snapping sound on the higher strings. You can automatically tell it's the Chet Atkins piezo system. We are not certain which electric guitar was used on the record, but based on footage we can see the primary guitar used and favored in this era was Buckethead's ESP M2 Custom, which has been coined as the Air Jordan guitar due to the distinct Michael Jordan stickers on the body. The whereabouts of this guitar are unknown, but it was last seen in a Hard Rock Cafe, which is now destroyed. So, let's hope it's somewhere out there safe. The setup for the ESP seemed to be stock completely while used on the road for Colma, sporting its standard black pickups, but we can see in very late performances with the guitar last being used and being hung up in the Hard Rock, there's a pink DiMarzio hot rail in the neck position and seemingly a purple DiMarzio bridge humbucker. For amps, we can assume that the 5150 PV, which Bucket used for his electric rig at the time, was also used for the record. Even though it's not an ideal setup, he constantly plugs in the acoustic into his live rig anyways, so we can kind of just go off that. Unless we get confirmation that acoustic amps or something else different was used, we'll just have to go off the 5150 for now. One of the most important parts of the rig from this era and Buckethead in general is the Alesis MIDI Verb 2. This delay unit is specifically used for Big Sur Moon and other bits of delay all throughout Buckethead's career. If you want the Buckethead delay sound, absolutely go for the MIDI Verb 2. Specifically, presets 98 and 99 are favored by the guy. Just like the electric guitars, the bass use on this record is unknown, but I'll bet my money that it's the Vigier XS2 model, which Bucket used a lot throughout this era and the early 2000s. It was the main Buckethead bass and was distinct for its sunburst finish and the duct tape on the upper horn of the bass. This was also used live by Bucket and Lou for Giant Robot 2. In order to promote the album on the road, Buckethead gathered up Giant Robot 2. The original Giant Robot band was with Pete Scaturo and Brain, in which they helped promote Buckethead's Giant Robot NTT record. In 1997, though, a new band was formed, Giant Robot 2. It's a pretty creative name, I won't lie. Featured in this lineup is Buckethead on guitars, Lou on bass and rhythm guitars, DJ Disc on turntables, and Pinchface on drums. As stated before, Giant Robot 2 was formed in 1997, but was the band that was out on the road in 1998 to promote Colma, all the way up to the European tour, which shows were played in the UK and Germany. A lot of these shows have been documented and shown in the Binge tapes, with specifically 5 through 7 having a lot of footage showing the band goofing off and little behind-the-scenes showings of the band just having fun around their surroundings. Different parts of live shows are also shown in little interviews showing Buckethead and Pinchface giving fun little radio interviews.
Schreibt auf Papier.
Ribbit? Robot.
Robots.
Robots.
Roboter.
Robots.
These are my absolute favorite Buckethead shows, with the sound of the band being absolutely through the roof, with their chemistry showing every single night being ever so strong. The set list is absolutely amazing too, consisting of a beginning acoustic set with songs from Colma, then going into an electric section consisting of songs from Giant Robot, Buckethead Land, and even Praxis cuts. One thing I really do wish is that there were more high quality video and audio of this band. There's a lot of bootlegs out there showing the band ripping in various places, with some of my personal favorites being at the Transmission and at the Wetlands in 1997, but a lot of the Colma era stuff, especially in the UK tour, didn't get a lot of high quality footage. Of course, we see a lot from the Binge tapes and other tapers around the world, but sadly, there just isn't a lot out there. We can hope and pray that maybe one day new footage will arise, but it's kinda scarce for that to happen. Either way, I'm really happy with what we got, and I constantly binge these videos all the time. Each member of the band would go on to do separate projects with Buckethead after Giant Robot 2 ended, of course. Pinchface being there for the Deli Creeps and Buckethead's live band for the early 2000s along with Dan Monty, DJ Disc being there for Praxis shows, and Lou being there for Hook and Pole Gang shows, which, side note, Hook and Pole Gang is one of my absolute favorite Buckethead side projects. Even though it was very short-lived, the shows are absolutely amazing, and them being super low-tuned is really cool, so go check those out.
I'll see survive. Fuck you with my fucking stick, I'll fuck you with my fucking stick. Right to the skull on the side of the neck, cause I probably put it in there, now you got me down.
This album has aged absolutely beautifully. It's such a timeless record with so many beautiful songs that I feel anybody can enjoy. Even if you found someone who's never heard Buckethead a day in their life, you could put on Colma and they can say, hey, it's a really beautiful record. Even though it's not the typical Buckethead sound that we know with fast shredding and quirky licks and everything, it's something that represents more than Buckethead. It represents his soul and his love for music and passion, his love for his family, his love for his art, his love for his friends, and his love that he shows the world. I absolutely love this record to pieces, and it would be my favorite record to ever exist had the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack never happened. Love you, Kira. I'd love to talk about more Buckets records like this in the future, and if you want to hear them, let me know in the comments down below, and tell me which records you want to hear about. I'd love to go on a little bit of a journey with the Pikes, or really any of the Chicken Ben albums, but Colma felt like it had to be the first one for me. This isn't going to be the last time I talk about this record either, and I plan on doing really special things with it here soon that I really can't wait to share with you. Thank you very much for watching, and stay disembodied.